with all the experience that you have, like what's going through your mind as you see it play out in terms of how the U.S. has responded, both the people or the government or, whatever it is, and how people are taking it and how the response has been?
Yeah, I'm disappointed. I think the U.S. response has been inchoate, principally for two reasons. One, an administration that wallows in misinformation and disinformation bears a lot to blame for that. But also, it comes down to the American people. The American people don't think much of education. The American people don't think much of expertise. And we are paying the price for that. We are the only developed country that where the citizenship doesn't value education. And it has been a problem in this country since the founding fathers. This has always been a problem in this country. And there are lots of different reasons for it, but it is part of the core of many Americans who just don't think much of education. They don't think much of what education will get you. They have a very different metric for life, and they are putting themselves at risk. I remember when crack addiction was ravaging the inner city communities, primarily African American inner city communities. And nothing worked. In the end, pestilence wipes out the susceptibles. You do what you can, but if people are susceptible, pestilence is going to wipe them out. I think the lack of education, the lack of interest in public health, the assault on public health workers is going to come back to bite these people. They're going to be get ill, critically ill. There won't be hospitals nearby. There won't be healthcare workers nearby. And sadly, they're going to die. And they're going to complain bitterly, of course, but we make our own, we made our bed.
Do you attribute it? I mean, you mentioned it just now before, but do you attribute it in terms of, and I tend to agree with you. I'm just curious as to what makes you say, there's Americans in general don't have really an appreciation for education. Is it the fact that they're so easily convinced and quick to believe misinformation, and how easily misinformation spreads out there?
It's because I think, Justin, they don't even know to question. With education, you learn to read critically. You learn to ask questions as you read. You learn to discern what is likely to be very true, whereas what is likely to not be true at all, but is the author's opinion. You learn to do that. And then you apply that tactic to everything else you're exposed to speeches, to Facebook. And we know, and therefore we can make some progress because we all have a common fact set. But there are people who don't care about facts now. There are people who operate as though what they believe has value. And the fact is, Justin, there are 8 billion people on this planet. Not one of them cares what I believe. They care what I can prove. They care about what I can prove. If I can bring facts to the table, I've got some attention. If I'm simply expostulating about I think or I believe, nobody really cares. And
even that might be giving them too much credit. I mean, I'm a little even more extreme in my thoughts. I think people don't even care what you can prove. They just care what side you're on now.
Yeah.
It's like pick a side, and they want to know what side you're on. It doesn't matter what you can prove. It doesn't matter what you think. They just want to know what side you're on. And, public health has been so politicized.
Yes.
And it's insane. It's insane. And I'm just wondering, it's insane for me. I can't imagine how you feel about that.
Yeah. The fact that public health workers are assaulted, that they are spat on, um, is just one more barometer of one more measure of how, in fact, this country or many people in this country don't value the contribution or the sacrifice of others.
Are these occurrences you've seen and heard about through your circle of people you know in the profession and in the industry, or is this also just information you're getting through the news, though, in terms of public health workers being attacked, being spit on, things like that? Because to be honest, I haven't heard much about that.
Yeah. So it's been pretty much my circle. There are public health workers, nurses who are spat upon, especially now with this issue of the politicization of masks. And the notion of whether you should or should not wear masks. Masks have become, when that became a political statement, public health became a political statement.